what is it about YA that interests you, given that this is for lovers YA?
Great. So, because I often wonder why I come back to teenagers and teenage characters and why that fascinates me so much. I think there is, for a lot of us who write it, but also a lot of, like, as you would know, like a lot of the readers of YA are adults.
Yeah.
And I think we often return to it as readers or writers because it's something that in a lot of ways can feel unresolved from our past. And it's the primary time where we really form our identity as really separate adults, as people who are so separate from our family and our upbringing. And so it's the whole coming of age thing. And I think that's probably what draws me to it the most, is that for me, whether I'm reading YA or whether I'm writing it, the most exciting thing is that shift from belonging to someone else to that sense of self-determination, to going, I belong to me, I'm mine, and this is who I am. And that's pretty much a common thread in most YA, not all, but certainly a lot of it is that sense of coming of age and working out who you are, independent of other people's voices. And for me, that's been enormous, and that's happened more in my 20s and 30s than it has in my teenage years. So I think that's thematically why I kept coming back to it, because it's such like it's an underlying psychological interest of mine.
But I think you're quite prescient about, I mean, yes, the characters are very dynamic, but also like a lot of our foundational stuff is in YA. And so I don't want to say we do return to moments of trauma. That's how our brains function, in part to protect and also part to protect and also to try and learn from. And I mean, like, growing up is kind of traumatic, frankly, regardless of anything else that may be put on top of that. Like growing up, you know what, like paying bills sucks. That's traumatic.
It sure does. It's the worst. No, but it does, right? And like teenage years as well are full of, like, we go through puberty, we realize who we are sexually. So there's so much shame with those things because those things are internal. And so I think the shame is something that stays with a lot of us for life.
Yeah.
And some of us tackle it with therapy, and some of us like lock it up and never look at it ever again and try to white knuckle our way through the rest of our lives. But I think it's there for pretty much everyone, regardless of anything else that's going on top of it.
And so I reckon you focus back on it in almost like a what if I knew then what I know now, like how, and so like you almost like are trying to remediate it through YA in like a good way, I think. But I think that's a really prescient observation.
Thank you. But yeah, I think it's a healthy way, as you say. Like there's more destructive ways to kind of process trauma than seeking books that reflect your journey or writing them. But yeah, and even Invisible Boys was almost a reimagining of like, well, what could my teenage years have been like if I had been able to have sex, or if I had a boyfriend. Like it was, there's part of it that was imagining myself into existence as a teenager. So that was pretty healing. So I think it's a healthy thing.
No, I mean, I think Invisible Boys is a beautiful book. I read it and I immediately said to librarians, like, look, there is graphic content, so be aware, but you should put this in the hands of as many kids as you can, because it's so important.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Really, it's like we could just go in like a little circle here, but no, like
no, you're the best.